Welcome to Retrained Search, the podcast, where we lift the lid on what it's really like to work retained, discuss the stories we've gathered along the way, and give you all a peek behind the scenes of our amazing community and how they're getting ahead.
Hello, Harriet.
Hello, how are you?
Looking beautiful, as always.
Likewise.
For those of you that aren't watching the video,
I feel like I'm bringing the standard down, guys.
for those of you that are watching the video, you are missing a treat. The very, very beautiful Harriet Janman is joining us today. Welcome to the Retained Search Show, which I've just been told our podcast is actually called. I've been calling it the wrong thing all this time. Who knew? Welcome to the show, Harriet.
Wow, thank you. I didn't know it was a show.
It is a show. Neither did I.
Yeah, we're going places.
I know we are. Nice to see you. It's been a few days.
Yeah, hasn't it? How are you both doing?
Jordan's going mad.
I've got no internet. I've had no internet for 8 days now. So at the moment, the reason I've got my background on is because I'm sitting against the wall in my living room so I can bunk onto my neighbour's Wi-Fi.
And more importantly, how are you, Harriet? Didn't you have an important pitch yesterday?
Yes. Harriet's doing her usual at the moment of deciding we need to do BD and then going and win a load of work in one go and thinking, sugar, how do we cope? So yes, we won yesterday's.
Wow.
And then we've done we've repitched again today for another, which will be 2 searches, and I would hedge my bets on that coming off as well.
Harriet.
I'm so pleased because this is new territory for you, isn't it?
Yes.
Why is it new territory? Because
we're going up the value chain. We are moving away from sort of engineers and sort of blue collar workers and moving into sort of more project managers, area managers, sales managers. And all 4 of these searches will be at that level.
And so roughly give us a summary without giving too much away or anything you don't want to give away in terms of the fee level now versus what the other stuff you have been doing is.
So the minimum fees of these searches are nearly double our average fee for the year.
Such an achievement, Harriet. I'm so pleased for you. It could not happen to a nicer person. And I'm delighted that we're part of your journey. And that
Delighted. I'm not surprised either.
I'm not surprised
all the time. It's that Harriet goes, yeah, might climb Everest next week. Like doing the next lab call from the top of Everest, and it's like, yeah, insane.
Yeah, I'm excited. I am shitting bricks a bit. But I said to Ariana, I'm going to jump on a call with you, Jordan, later, and I'm just going to get you to sanity check me, and it will all be good. And we do what we set our minds to. So yeah, it is exciting.
It
just
is
nervous at the same time.
And so if we can just rewind a little bit. So we're talking about 4 projects that you have just won that are fully retained at a minimum fee of double your average of all the other fees that you've done for the year.
Yeah.
Let's just rewind to, I don't know, when did you start this journey? 2 years ago?
Yeah, maybe 2 years ago, maybe a tad longer.
I think it was about 2.5. I think I'd been trained a few months when you joined us, and I've been here 3 years in December.
And how did we meet? I'm genuinely asking because I don't know the answer. What did someone?
There was a group, a chap called Simon.
Simon Lewis. We've got Simon Lewis to thank for it. Oh, I love Simon. Great.
Yeah. So
you were a part of his group, which was called Members Only, wasn't it? Like a recruitment networking group.
Yes, and I'd been sort of toying with the idea before, but then he introduced us and we managed to make it work, which was great. And yeah, I've never looked back since, really. It's just been an amazing journey.
If we take you back to that place, then what were you doing? What was it like? Why connect with us in the first place?
I wasn't having a very good time with recruitment when we met. I was slogging my freaking guts out, and I was giving it all my efforts and energy and working all the hours God sends, having to take on, 15 jobs it was back then at any one time. And I was constantly being let down by things that were outside of my control. Clients would amazingly get the right CV on their desk that wasn't one of mine. They would take it through to offer stage and pull the offer at the last stage. All the things that you mitigate when you're working this way, I was coming up against, and I was very frustrated, very upset, and just drained with it. And I was ready to give up. I wasn't enjoying it at all when we met.
Remember that, George?
Common theme, isn't there?
Yeah.
And
then did you sort of know that you wanted to go retain then? Had somebody said something to you, or was it like a concept that you'd heard of, or how did you? Because some people don't even know that it's an option, do they?
I didn't know it was an option until I had a client around the time we met. It was his suggestion. He said, well, we'll pay you in stages. And I was like, oh, right, okay. And sort of fluffed up an incredibly basic change to the terms. And it worked so well. Yeah. And the communication and the respect, and he listened to the advice I was giving him, and he paid his bills, and all the things you want to happen. And I think that opened my eyes. So it was one of the things that I think helped when I met you as well, because I'd seen it was a better way of working.
Right, great.
I wanted to just take some of the controllable stress out of. It's hard enough, isn't it? Let's face it, our job. When it's going well, it's hard enough.
Yeah. And so what happened then? Like what journey? Tell us a bit about the journey that you've been on. We know what it's been like from our side. We've been helping you and looking after you, and as we do with everybody. But what's the journey been like for you? What are the memorable moments?
So I did the course and I didn't implement it straight away. I was I was nervous about leaving and saying no to contingent work. So I remember it took me a while to get to a stage where I was mentally ready to say no. And then when I got there, I think I won 4 searches in one go. And then went, I have no idea what to do now. So that was a big learning curve as well, because it's, having the mindset to say no to contingent is scary. But every client that I said no to has come back round, and we've worked on a retained basis with them. And then the delivery for me was another learning curve. And there's things that we've implemented now 2 years on that we hadn't at the start. So it's constant learning, and it's constant evolving your process, and changing to be better for me is one of the main things. But yeah, winning 4 retainers from the get-go was scary but great. And trusting, because everything you guys have ever told me has only ever made me money, and it's true, right? It sounds like I'm sucking up, but it's true. And having that guidance for me has been really important, because I do get worried, I do get in my own head, I do doubt myself. So having that constant support, it is amazing, really.
Would you work contingent again?
Never. No. Don't. No, absolutely not. We did one during this process, and it was the one I said never again. It just, because we thought, okay, well, we've got the retained thing down, let's give it a go. It went wrong.
Harriet, what in terms of I reference you a lot when I'm speaking to potential new members to our community, because often people say no one retains at the level I work at. I mean, and you've moved to 100% retained, and just tell people the types of roles that you've worked on over the past few years wouldn't be the type that you would typically say, well, that's definitely retained, right?
Absolutely. So they've been mostly blue collar workers. You know, they've been technicians basically that we've been working at. So yeah, skilled people, but low level hires. They're not C-suite. You know, they haven't been senior managers. They've been the guys on the ground doing the work.
It's funny as well because like I've always felt this since I went through this training back in 2018, and the roles that I were working on were like 40, 50K salaries too, like not senior stuff, and retained was a really new concept to the people I was talking to. If you offered me 2 desks, if I had to start a desk in a recruitment firm today and I had a choice of 2, and one was like lots of retained was really commonplace, the managers had had the discussion before, and one was brand new to it, I would pick the desk that was brand new to retained every day of the week.
Yeah, we've been going on a journey of educating our clients, and that's been a big learning curve as well for us. But actually, I'm starting to enjoy it now. Now I've got my head around it, and it's become an enjoyable process. But they don't know this way of working. They don't know there's a better way. So once they do it once, they love it. But trying to educate them on it is definitely a journey and a slow burn initially.
Yeah, I absolutely love your journey. You're very human, authentic, and open and honest about everything, how it's going, what's worrying you, what's going well. And that's why we wanted to share you really with the audience, because so many people out there kind of feel, I think, that retained has this mystique, or that it's all unattainable really, and that frightens a lot of people. I think it worries people and it frightens people. Like to those people that feel that their clients wouldn't do it, or they won't be able to do it, what would you say to them? What advice would you give to where maybe you might have been a year before? Or
well, it's a really good question, and I even think back to 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, where I didn't think I could go up the value chain because I didn't see why anyone would want to talk to me. And if you don't do it, you'll never know. And you've got to try, right? Whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. And you put in place the actions that make you stand out from others, and that's what gets you places. So I think if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Still makes me laugh though. You have a constant drive to develop and grow. Like on our weekly collab calls every week, I say, right, so who's got any questions? And there's always like a bit of a silence at the start where everyone's like, who's going to go first? And Harriet's always there in the corner like, I've got questions.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
You've always got questions, and I love that as well. And you made a transition as well once you moved to retain, and I think that last contingent job just really put the final nail in the coffin for you on contingent, and said, right, it's retain. I remember distinctly that conversation. You were furious and said that the retain is the only way forward. I am not, and it was almost like you were saying it to me, but you were saying it to yourself. I am not working any more contingent work. And the retained work was a norm, and it became a norm. And you've recently made a transition into the next level of learning, into the mastermind group. Tell us a bit now then about this move that you're making up the value chain, because there's been some quite eye-opening moments and whole new learns for you in this. What can you share with us about that?
I think, self-belief is really important as well in this journey for me. I was so nervous, so worried. I was so scared. And now I'm like, why was I shitting bricks? I had nothing to worry about. I genuinely didn't believe that business owners And there's some incredibly senior people I've been talking to here, you know, managing directors and global managing directors of generator companies and you know, engine manufacturers as well. So that right at the top of the sector I work in, I really didn't believe they would want to talk to me or want to share their struggles and their pain and their experiences and challenges around talent acquisition with little me. So I was incredibly surprised and shocked at the response from them. And they have told me more than I could ever have hoped for, which has not just enabled me to understand their businesses, but also that's marketing information for me as well. It's things I can share on LinkedIn to build my network and show that we can add value. So it's helped. One of the biggest things for me there is it's helped me in more ways than one and more than I realized it would as well.
Once now you've started to get exposure, not just exposure to the next level, well, actually you probably skipped a level, you've probably gone a couple of levels up.
I didn't mean to.
I'm perfectly happy with that. Do you think there's a difference in now what happens next once you've broken through those worries of communicating with them and understanding their challenges? Are you feeling that there's any difference in your capability to solve their problems?
I think the capability is definitely there. Now I understand more around it. I'm excited about the people I'll be working with and their communication skills and their commitment as well. I believe that there's a little bit more transparency. One of the issues or challenges, you know, that we've overcome for many years with working at the lower level is motivators around looking for work, you know, and really having the candidate commitment through the process. Whereas I believe that if a candidate's not committed higher up, you'll know a lot quicker. Yeah. You know, they'll tell you. So I think that part is going to be somewhat easier. Of course, there's going to be other challenges, you know, of course, there's going to be learnings and things that we'll figure out along the way. But I'm quite excited for that part.
That's great. That is so good to hear. I can tell you from my experience, maybe George might say something similar, I don't know, but I found it easier the higher up the value chain that I went, not more difficult.
Certainly from a delivery standpoint. Yeah. I just remember thinking, like, I mean, I'll prep the candidate for interview, but like I really don't need to. Like they're very, very good.
Yeah.
Like they know how to prepare for an interview. And I tell you what, I guarantee they'll turn up for the interview. You're not going to get that report saying he never turned up, and they'll tell you if the offer's not enough, and like they just haven't got time to waste. And they're very capable. And I had a much better time higher up the value chain.
Yeah, and there's some searches that are similar to ones we've done in the past, but we haven't, actively gone after them before. And I don't want to say become complacent. We were known for our brand working at that level. So it's exciting to do fresh work. It's exciting to have different challenges. It's exciting to show, that we're capable of much more as well.
What was it, Harriet? Like, I've been banging on about this with you for, I don't know, probably the last 9 or 10 months, saying you're capable at higher levels. We can double the revenue by doubling the fee if we just move up a couple of levels. And you going, yeah, and then not doing it. What was it that clicked, or was it a series of things, or what is it that suddenly? And now you've just won 4 projects at double the fee. What is it that's changed?
I'd say there's a couple of elements. One is that because we're tiny, when we win searches, we jump into delivery mode. So my capacity at times wasn't there. And then we covered all our searches, and I sat there and went, I haven't got any work on. So I need to do something about it. And having the mental headspace then to go, right, okay, let's be strategic about this. Let's now do what we need to do. Plus, there's been some searches that we've worked on recently that have had certain problems on them that I truly believe we won't necessarily have those same issues when we're working higher up the value chain. And I can see ways that we can overcome things differently. So again, I think it was a mixture of those, and it just felt like the right time now. You know, we've got through the tricky part of the year that a lot of people have had.
Yeah.
You know, we've completed on searches. We're ready now to take the next step.
I've been frustrated for you in the past because I know how hard you and Ariana work on some of those delivery projects. And I'm thinking, oh God, it's not a big fee for that amount of work.
Yeah. You know, and I cancelled my summer holidays. We were supposed to go away, and I didn't go away because we won searches and we delivered on them. And there's been a lot of personal sacrifices that everyone goes through, right? So I was like, right, now's the time. Now do this for Ariana, do it for me, do it for Renew. Get yourself where you need to be.
What measures have you put in to make sure it doesn't slip back?
We've said no. We have said no several times this week, which is a little bit scary again. We've said to a client that we wouldn't take on searches at engineer level. And it was several searches that they wanted us to work on. And we've said to another client that we couldn't add value in the way they wanted us to at that level, which was a little bit hard, I'll be honest. A little bit hard to say no, but we've got to do it to be able to focus on, you know, the new searches and make an impact there.
Did you put a minimum fee in?
Yes, I did that. I did that one thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm so proud and so pleased and so delighted that you're now going to see real reward for the techniques and the methods that you use in an arena which is going to appreciate it.
Not more than that, though. I think like me and Lou know it's possible, so we're just proud. But I think it's inspirational for our other members and for the people that listen to this to see that they can do it too. I mean, it takes a lot of skill and it takes a lot of hard work, right? And that's why you're achieving everything you are achieving. But it is possible.
And everyone's on their own journey, aren't they? You know, some people can come in and do it quite quickly, you know, but for me, it's taken a bit longer, but it's that constant trying to improve, learn, you know, develop, change processes and just chipping away to then be ready to say, right, I'm ready for the next challenge now and the next step.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, just on that then, if you were to kind of take a photograph of your business now with, you know, how you communicate, what you share, how you do things versus a photograph 3 years ago, what like are the key differences? You're now a fully retained leadership search firm, and you were a contingent recruitment agency recruiting blue collar engineers. That sounds weird. You smiled when I said that.
That's so weird.
But it's true, right?
Yeah.
What's the difference? Like if you were to look at those two different photographs or those pictures of your firms, like what are some of the differences? So someone can get a feel for what might be different.
Our process is different. Our transparency is different because we can be transparent with the clients and show them everything. Whereas we couldn't before. When you're contingent, you can't. Of course you can't do that. Our process, our transparency, our setup is different. You know, we use a lot more automation now than we did before, which has enabled us to do a lot more. Our marketing is completely different. Oh my gosh. You know, we've worked with Sarah so much on changing our marketing. Gosh, what else is different? It feels like so many things are different.
What about like the messaging that you use, or I don't know, language, or?
Well, that's completely changed. Yeah, our mindset's different. Our messaging's different. The way we communicate with clients and candidates is just evolved, I would say. You know, we're operating at a higher plane than we were before. And because we're able to take the time to do things thoroughly, and we don't feel rushed. We don't feel like we're competing against anyone else anymore. We're just ourselves, just to get the results for the client. That's what we're here for.
And the kind of nuts and bolts of it, the fee structure
that's changed,
isn't it? So what did your fee structure look like 3 years ago? What would your typical...
Oh my gosh. It was probably 12-15% of the basic salary.
And that was paid?
That was paid when they started.
On start date?
Yeah.
Wow.
And what does your fee structure look like now?
It's around 25% of the annual remuneration, and it's paid on the commencement of the assignment, on shortlist, and on signature of employment contract.
Just a little bit different then, Harriet.
Yes, just a smidge there.
Do you deviate from that at all? Is there's some flexibility in there?
There's always flexibility. Every client's different. All the circumstances are different. The setup's different. So yeah, there's always flexibility as long as commercially it works for the business. Of course, we want to be flexible for our clients. We want to get them the results they need. So yes, but we just take it on a case-by-case basis, make sure it works for everyone.
I mean, if only you could hear yourself say what you just said.
Yeah. So
I started thinking, I'd buy it.
It's not just that, it's just such an achievement.
I'd love to go on one of the first calls that we did. And actually, I did look at a collab call with Robin the other day because I wanted to check something on the group. And I was listening to myself thinking, it doesn't sound like me. I'd love to see the difference as well. And yes, it's cool. We're getting there.
You are definitely more than getting there.
We're very proud.
Yeah, we are very proud. And the purpose of sharing Harriet's story for the audience listening is, and as real as it is, these are the first time we're asking Harriet these questions. She's although we're obviously working together, we haven't kind of reviewed the journey like this, and it's nice to be able to do it, is for people to understand that it isn't impossible, this. It is a journey, and everyone's going on it in a different way at different speeds, and there's no need to compare yourself. There's no comparison with anyone else. But that when you look back, it's incredible what you can achieve with a bit of help and a bit of guidance. And if I'd asked you 3 years ago, what do you want your business to look like? Like, what would that be? Is it?
I wouldn't have expected it could look like this. So I would have just wanted some of the stress to go away. From the situation that I was in, and to not hate the situation I was in, because I was ready to quit recruitment. Because you doubt yourself. You think it's you. You think you think I can't do this job, and that's not the case. You just need the support and the setup and the process and the commitment from the clients to enable you to perform at your best. So I didn't know I would be here by any means, but this is beyond where I thought I would be. Completely beyond what I thought I was capable of at the time.
And it's funny because I think a lot of people think like that. They don't even realize that this is possible for them and for their businesses. You said you didn't even know that it could look like this, and I think that's very common.
I didn't know what retained was.
No.
I was just a contingent recruiter.
Yeah, it's funny. It is funny. And it's such an exciting journey to be going on now. I mean, not only have you just doubled your average fee and moved up several bandings, but you won a really nice piece of work that wasn't recruitment not that long ago. Tell us a little bit about that.
Gosh, I'm trying to think which win you're talking about there.
Well, yeah, exactly. But you
look at that. Could have been any.
Could have been one of several numbers of intelligence projects I've carried out recently, but one of them in particular was a real brand new concept for you. I don't think even you knew what compensation and benefit studies were.
Yes. Yeah.
And then
so
what
that-
happened? Like, tell us that story.
So we've done a couple of those now, and they're exciting as well because you're doing something a little bit different. So we worked with one client who wanted to expand their sales team, and they were looking for a sales manager, but they just didn't know, how they needed to compensate this person. So what we did is we went out to market. We figured out what they needed to understand. We approached candidates on their behalf. Some of which are happily employed where they are, but we got an idea of what they like about their current companies, rating them out of 10, what makes them a 10, or what doesn't, what their packages are, what their current companies do great. And if they were to consider moving, what would a package need to look like to entice them away from where they are? So we collated all that data and we presented it to the client. They were then able to come up with an incredibly competitive package to secure, the right candidate in the end. We then went through the search process and secured them the candidate of choice.
Thank you, Harriet. And I've seen the report because you shared it with the group, the mastermind group, and it's lovely. It's a really, really nice piece of work. And you didn't do that for nothing, did you?
No, we didn't. So that particular one, we charged, let me just have a quick think.
Don't need to give away the exact if you don't want to.
Yeah,
but yeah, about
upwards of 5.
Yeah,
basically, give or take, for that piece of work, which is great.
Yeah. Most people give that stuff away for nothing. And it's a nice business development exercise always to do. And you've then used that to share with other clients as a lead generator.
Yeah,
as I understand
absolutely. So we've used it in marketing, and we've used it during calls with clients and spoken to them about, do they understand how competitive they are in the market? If we were to go and ask their team how to rate them out of 10, what would they say? So we've then used that to generate inquiries elsewhere and other business elsewhere.
Mm.
Really nice.
And to somebody listening that maybe is where you were 3 years ago, that might sound like intelligence projects and compensation and benefit studies and insight studies is something they're never going to be able to achieve. I mean, how do you get to that stage? Like, what is it that's enabled? It's not a trick question, but like, what, how come you're now in a position where you can identify that kind of opportunity and put a project like that together?
I would say learning, for me, it was learning to ask more strategic questions to clients to elevate our offering. So asking the right questions to the right people to put yourself in a situation so you're ready when the time comes are probably the key things there. And the actual exercise of carrying it out is well within everyone's capabilities. It's purely calling candidates and asking the question, which you do every day.
Yeah.
It's just phrasing them in a slightly different way.
Yeah. And it happens often, Nick Codley in the mastermind group, he's now consistently winning insight reports that he then uses as leverage to open up new relationships. Gemma on the call day before yesterday, Thursday, was sharing the executive C&B study that she's never ever done anything like that either, and has now got this fabulous project that we're just closing yesterday, in fact. So yeah, I guess I know how inspiring your journey is, and I'm hoping that people listening are feeling inspired and motivated to know that there's a world away from contingent that is achievable and is tangible and is realistic and possible for them, because you are living proof that it's possible. So thank you so much for sharing your journey.
Yeah. And it's not all been hard work. We've had some fun along the way.
We've had a cracking time.
I distinctly remember you and Lou falling through a table drunk in a deep but that can be a story for another podcast another time.
Yeah. And we don't talk about that.
No, I think Harriet tripped and I was just helping stabilize her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
and
used to
then
supporting our members, aren't you, Liz?
yes, so used to supporting our members. Yeah, that was a great trip. That was a really good trip. Yeah, and we've got another one coming up, haven't we? These are mastermind events for those of you of our community, because I know our community listen to these too. So there'll be people listening to us, Harriet, that do know you and know me, and we'll be there at the next event in Richmond, which we're going to be very sensible at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Always.
absolutely.
Anything else you want to share or add before we let people go along their merry lives in a merry way? Any little final messages for our audience?
I just want to say thank you for having me. I was quite nervous. I didn't know what you were going to ask me or what we were going to talk about. So yes, it's been really enjoyable. I've loved it. So thank you.
We normally start to prep for these things, me and Lou, and then go, should we just have a chat?
Let's just have a chat.
Yeah,
let's just have a chat. No, it's lovely. It's a fantastic journey, and we're so, so proud and delighted that you can now call yourself a retained leadership search firm, which is just a joy, and long may it continue. You know, the future, what is it they say in Toy Story and beyond? No, what is it they say?
To infinity and beyond.
Infinity and beyond, yeah, that one, you know.
You're going to quote Buzz Lightyear, get it right.
Sorry. All right, folks, lots of love.
Thanks,
We'll see you on the
everyone.
next episode. Thank you, Harriet.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, that's another episode of Retrain Search, the podcast in the bag. Thanks for listening to our wild tales, LinkedIn controversies, and our top tips on how to sell and deliver retained search. Get involved in our next episode. Send in your questions and share your experiences with us by emailing podcast@retrainedsearch.com. And don't be shy. Connect with us on LinkedIn and come and say hi. We don't bite. Unless you're a Shrek firm, that is. We want to say a special thank you to our retrained members for sharing what's working for them right now and innovating new ways to grow and evolve. It's an incredible community. If you're wondering what exactly we mean when we mention our communities, well, we have two separate programs. Our Search Foundations program is for recruiters who want to learn how to sell and deliver retained search solutions consistently. And we have our Search Mastery program. That's for business leaders or owners already at 50% retained or more and looking to scale and grow and structure their search firm. We cap memberships to these programs to protect the integrity of the community. If you want access, just talk to us. Okay, thanks for listening. We'll be back very soon with another episode of Retrain Search, the podcast.